morning, students. So, in today's session, we will dive into an important concept in Java, static members and static methods. So, these are special features that belong to the class as a whole rather than individual objects. So, making incredibly useful for efficient memory management and shared functionality. So, let us explore what they are, how they work, and why they are so essential in Java programming. So, first is the bookish definition. So, we'll start with the static keyword in Java. So, the static variable and the static methods, they are actually declared or they are implemented using the static keyword. So first we'll try to understand what is a static keyword in Java. Basically, it's primarily used for memory management, right? So keep it in mind, the word memory management. It can be applied to variables, methods. It can be applied to variables, number one. Number two is a method. Number three is block also. And number four, it may be or it can be applied to classes also. But we are going with these two variables and methods only. So when we apply to a variable, this keyword static, it will refer to as a class variable. And when it is a class variable, it's shared among all the instances of a class. Again, note it down, please, this last line that I have spoken. It is shared among all the instances. That means all the objects of a class. And what about the static method? This method is also known as class method, right? And it belongs to the class rather than any specific instance. That means any specific object, right? So now we will explore further. First, we'll go with the static member or a static variable. And what is the other name for the static member or static you know this class member? The other name is what? Class member. So first we have written on this side is a static member, and then we have written as a instance member. This is static member also known as class member, and this instance member also known as object member. So it belongs to the class rather than a specific instance of a class. This is the main point. And it's shared among the all instances of a class, right? On the other hand, the instance member, it belongs to a specific instance of a class. That means it is belonging to the specific instance of a object, or specific, you can say, objects only, or a particular object only. Here, memory for a static variable is allocated only once when the class is loaded. This is literally very important. When we are declaring any variable as a static, so memory is allocated only once. But on the other hand, each instance of the class has its own copy. That means it has the own, a memory for the object variable or for the instance variable. Then the difference that you can see here is it is accessed using class name. This is also very important. It is accessed using a class name. So what is the syntax for this? You have this class name, then you have this dot operator, and then the static variable. Once you have declared, then you are accessing. So how you can access that? With the help of dot operator, and before dot you must have a class name. And it is accessed, which is like this instance member, it is accessed through object, object dot variable name. So let me write it here. It is class dot variable. Yes, it's a general syntax, class dot variable, and here it is what? Object dot variable. So here you will write what? Object dot variable, where variable is a member. we'll show the program also, and we'll show further examples also, right? So here, this is the illustration which is given in your book. So what is an instance? So if you are taking this kid as a first instance, and here instance means what? Object, right? So object. So this object is having some personal things. Personal, I mean these here, this shirt also, and obviously the personal things like, you know, eyes, nose, everything is personal. So kid instance 1. Similarly, you have the kid instance 2. There's a bookish example that we are exploring here. Kid instance 1, then kid instance 2. And here we have this something called static variable, which is what? Ice cream, right? So this ice cream is shared among two instances, or among two objects, or between two kids instance. So if you have another kid, so he or she can also share this. So this way, you have a personal, or you can say, you have some properties which are personal, for any kids or for any object, but there are some properties, or there are some variables which are shared. So static variables are shared. That's the main reason for creating a static variable. All the instances of the same class share a single copy of a static variable. So there is a single copy only which is shared. So here, key takeaways is this: instance variables, one per instance, and static variable, one per class. Now let me give you a more realistic example. So here, if you count the number of object, this is object 1, this is object 2, this is object 3, this is object 4, and this is object 5. So 5, you can say the objects are there, and 5 are the computer objects. So they have their personal, or you can say, uh, copy of keyboard, and here you have the monitor. Inside this, obviously, it must have a RAM, and it must have a CPU also. So it's a personal, or you can say belongs to the instance of that particular object. This is one thing. Okay, so all the properties are there, all the variables are there, all the members are there. They are specific to objects. Similarly, in this case also, there are, properties or variables or members which is specific to this only. So you have a screen, you have keyboard, everything is there. Then there is this object also. So you can count these 4 or 5 objects are there. They have their personal things. But what is common in that? What is common and what is shared in that? The shared thing is what? Printer. So all of these systems, they are sharing what? A printer. They are sharing a printing. So this will become what? Static. Now the in Java terminology, this printer will become what? Static. Let us further explore this. So what we have as a student, please refer to the encapsulation lecture, or also refer to the lecture where we have seen the demonstration of this program. So on this program only, I'm trying to make some instance variable, or some static variables also, so that we can learn. So from day one, we are learning from this doc class, which is given in your book also, textbook also. So every object oriented concepts we will try to learn, and everybody is learning from this doc class only. So we have fields, and that is a variable, and we have methods also, right? So how many kinds of variables are there? One is static, okay, that we have seen today, and another is what? Non-static, or you can call it a instance variable. So there you can declare a class. So here you see, students, string name, okay, and string, after a string name we have the age also, and we have a string breed, and we have integer size. So this thing, all of these things, they belong to the instance, or you can call it object also. Instance means object only, so one and the same thing. But this, whenever you write static in front of the variable, it will become what? Shared. Now this thing is going to be shared, this variable is going to be shared among all the instances. How? Doesn't matter, okay, how many number of objects you are creating doesn't matter. It is going to be shared among all the instances of dog objects. Okay, I'll give you a more clear cut picture on this. Okay, so how you can add this? So adding a class variable for the number of dogs objects here, this way you can create it. Just before the variable, you write the word static. You write the word static. Now here we are coming, and diagrammatically we'll try to understand more about the memory allocation and about the static part. So this is the diagram that we have seen uh, from the last class. Uh, from the last classes, actually, especially the encapsulation class. So there are two kinds of memory. One is a stack memory and one is a heap memory. So here, imagine that the dog class is already there. So there you have a dog class in which, you know, all the members are there. How many members are there? Name, age, breed, and size. So these members are there. Plus you have created another member, and this member is which type of a member? Static. So the member name is what? Number of dogs. So how is the memory location work? Okay, so imagine you have created a first dog object. So obviously where it is created on the heap. So it is keeping the personal copies of these four variables, and you have created another object dog2. So here you have created dog1 in a main, obviously in a main function, and here you have created dog2. So first dog1 is created on a heap, and then dog2 is also created on a heap with personal copies of all these objects. But remember, this variable number of dogs, it is only created once, and it is shared by all the objects. Imagine you are creating another object dog3. So where it is going to be created? Inside this heap also, and it is going to be shared. This number of dogs is going to be shared with the third dog objects. That's the main thing. Yes, and main purpose, you will learn more about this. And now we come to the characteristics of the static keyword. A static uh, uh, keyword is applied to a method also. Okay, I beg your pardon. Now we are learning the static method, and here we are learning the static methods characteristics also. Okay, so when the static keyword is applied to a method, it is referred to as a static method only. Static method only. So what are the key characteristics of this static method? A static method belongs to the class rather than any object of the class. So just like variable, we can have a static methods also. So they are belonging to one particular class rather than what? Rather than particular object, they are belonging to the class. It can be invoked without creating an instance of a class, and it can be accessed and modified using the static, or it can access or it can modify the static data members directly. See, this example is given in your book about the static methods. So what is a static method and what is a non-static method? Here, if you come, there is a function called play. Carefully see, this is a bookish example that we have taken. So there is a class song, and this is a different example, by the way. And here, this function is there, play. So in this function, we are creating a sound player object, and we are calling this play sound function with the title play sound function, right, students? So no static keyword is there. That means what? Actually this word is not there. So that means what? This play function belongs to the object. This play function belongs to the object. On the other hand, if you see here, so static is written, students. Static is written before this return type integer. And what is the function? Basically this function is what? Min function is there. So we have written the static function. So the moment you write the static function, students, it will lot of things will come. Number one, it will belong to the class. So imagine the class name is what? Math, right? And by the way, there is a math class, and we have used this math class also, but we have not gone through so much detail about this. So how many static methods are there? Imagine there are three static methods: min, max, and absolute. Absolute. So they don't require any object creation. Directly you can write like this. Directly you can write like this. I told you, class dot, here you will write it the function name. Okay, function name. Here what you are writing, if you are calling the function, because this play function can be called on the object, this function can be called on the object, but this min function can be called, not can be called, it will always be called on the class only. So here you write math, which is a class name, and this min function you are calling from the class name. So that's about the static method and static member, students. Now we would see the complete program, and in this complete program we will write the dog class itself from the scratch. Quickly we will write it. There we will declare some instance variable, and we will also declare some instance method also, and there we will declare the static variable as well as the static a method. And there we will see what's the difference between a non-static method and a static method, and the other difference that we will see, what is the difference between a static variable and a instance variable. So let's quickly switch to the Visual Studio Code, and there we would write the same class, dog class, which we have already seen. So this class we are going to write it. Okay, so let's quickly switch to the Visual Studio Code. Students, here we are in Visual Studio Code, and I have created a one file, doc.java. So we will be writing from the scratch because a lot of changes we are doing. So we will be writing from the scratch. So whatever the things that we have already learned, I'll go fast, and wherever the explanation is required, I will try to stop and I'll try to explain those points. Right. So we are starting for the doc class. So let me start writing this. Mm, So here I am in Java class, and now I'm starting. So first thing is obviously public class dog, and here I can define a four variables: name, age, breed, and size. Now here I can define a static member. This static member obviously will be shared by all the instances of the dog objects, right? So here I'm defining the static member, and how can we define? Just by the keyword static, and I'm assigning the initial value 0 also. Now I'm defining the constructor to initialize dog objects and increment the counter also. So first constructor is default constructor, that always you make a habit of putting a default constructor. Now I'm starting and I'm writing the parameterized constructor also. So four parameters are there. So every parameter I'm considering: name, age, breed, and size, and assigning the values also in this. Now this way I have completed the constructor, and I have completed the assignment also. Now for the static counter part, what we can write it: whenever the object is created, we are just incrementing by 1. So we are counting the number of dog objects in our program, and this is shared, by the way, by all the objects. So why now display details are required? So this is a pretty simple function. You can call the print line function for all the variables, and these are instance variables, not the static variables. So we are just calling all the instance variables, and we are printing their values. So 4 print statements are required, so we have written the 4 print statements there. And here we are also just trying to retrieve the static, uh, you know the static variable, and the way we retrieve the static variable is by static method. So here you can see that I've created a one static method, get number of dogs, and here I'm just returning the number of dogs. Now I'm creating some instance methods or instance functions. So first is eat, that we have seen in our earlier lectures also. Then we have a sleep also, and I think two more I can put after printing all this. So I can put play function that was there in the last or last lectures of object oriented programming. Here I am just putting a last method, public void bark, and here I am printing the value whatever the sound of the dog is. Now we are making what a main function inside this class only, and in this main function we would create, let's create three objects with parameterized constructor. So dog1, new dog, I'm giving a name Buddy, and his breed is golden retriever. Now I'm creating a second dog object. So second dog object what we have is the name is Bella, and the third dog object I'm giving a name Charlie, and I'm giving breed Labrador, and the other values also assigning. Now I'm calling a display functions for displaying the information of individual dog objects, right? So here display details, I'm just calling on all the three objects. So dog1, dog2, dog3, and this function. Remember, this is instance dot function name. Here we are just calling print line, and we are calling total number of dogs objects created. So dog dot get number of uh, dogs, right? So please see here, this function is literally important. Total number of dogs, what is this? It's not an instance. If you can uh, recall, or if you can follow, this dog is a class we have created at the top. So class name students and the number of dogs is a instance. uh, you know uh, just give me a second. It's not working. Yeah, now it's working. So this dog dot get number of dogs, uh, this is a static function. And what is the syntax for using the static function? Class name dot function name. This is the function that we are using. Okay, students. So what do you think? What is going to be printed? 3 is going to be printed, because first it was 0, then we have created uh, one instance, then we have created the second instance, then we have created the third instance. So how many instances we have created? 3. So every time the dog instance is created, this is incrementing by 1. This is incrementing by 1 because we are calling in a constructor, and this thing is shared by all the objects. This thing is shared by all the objects. So every object is operating in on number of dogs. Okay, so every object or every dog is operating on this shared, you can say, a variable. So quickly I'll show you the output of this. Yes, here I am, and now I can run this program. I was checking if everything is fine in this program. I hope it is fine. So now I can run this program, and yes, the output is coming. The first name is Buddy, the age is 3, and then breed is whatever we have written, the name is Bella, and age is this, size is this, the breed is also there. So 3 objects we have created, and total number of dogs are 3. Total number of dogs are 3. This is literally very important, very important. How come it is coming, students? It is coming from here. This thing is coming from here, right? And one thing I'll do here. Okay, what other static methods I can write over here? One static method that I can write here is what? Resetting the counts of the objects. And how can I reset the count like this? I can write a function here, static. I can write a function here, static void reset dog counter. This is also a static function. So whenever this function is called, how this function can be called, at any point of time you can call this function. So after calling this function, all the number of dogs are going to be reset. This is another reset function. This cannot be called by instance. Okay, let me give you an example. What I'm saying is, if dog3 dog3 dot, how many functions are available? Age, this is a variable, breed is a variable, name is a variable, bark is its own a function. So here you can call the bark function, right? And if you call this function, what I mean, you will understand this. So woof woof, you can see here it's working, okay, because dog3 is barking, you can see that. But if I try to call this function like this, the class name is what? Dog and bark. Bark. This is not going to be called. Why it is not going to be called? Because this bark function belongs to the particular instance. This dog function is never going to be, this bark function is never going to be called on a dog class. Rather, it is available only for the instances. But if you try to call this function get number of dogs, so it is working and it's not giving any kind of a error. And after that, again, uh, you can reset this dog dot, I think reset function we have written. So what reset function will do, it will reset the number of counts. So after, we are not displaying this, we are not displaying this, and we are not displaying this, and we are not displaying even this. So just we are displaying what? Get number of dogs, and we have to print this value also. So how can we print this? System dot out, system dot out dot print ln, and here you can print this because it is returning something. And then you can reset this, and again you can print this. So what you are expecting here, students, let me run this program. Yes, here I am in my program. Here I am in this program. So if I run this program, here you can see 3. Now you can see total number of dogs are 0, right? So this is the way that you can store, or you can reset the static variables, right, students? So in next class, probably we will start the super keyword, and we will learn about final classes also. So some of the core concepts we are going, and we will learn that. Okay, thank you, students.